it's good. They choose to get a Darkseer here.
Yeah, see, sometimes I forget that this hero is, back in style right now. The Darkseer. It's great laning presence, of course. I believe he is going to be going against a couple of melee heroes, so that Ion Shell can be a bit of a struggle for them when they're just trying to get some easy last hits. They have this Ion Shell bumping off in their face. It secures, somewhat reliable farm for Bulldog in that lane, so he can build something up at least. Has Surge to fall back on in case things get a bit hairy. But what do you think overall? Is the vacuum wall going to be a huge thing for them? You're looking to go against a Bristleback who typically likes to build up a lot of utility, so the wall could turn that utility almost in your own favor. So that's pretty fun.
What we've seen so far by Alliance is early aggression. In the previous match, they just want to get the momentum very early, and I would not say that the vacuum wall is going to be the essential factor here for winning fights, but just Iron Shell on the CK. CK is going to go nuts, getting an Iron Shell. He just runs people down.
Yeah,
and I actually think it's not that great against the Queen of Pain, because Queen usually can jump, since Ire Tether is not as broken anymore, where you get instant stunned. So Queen has a chance to react. Ember as well usually can dodge quite well. So on the side of Alliance here, I see potential struggle with not having enough lockdown for those two heroes that are very quick, either that can move around and you have a decent chance. But it really comes down to how can Burden United deal with that early aggression that most likely will come from the side of Alliance.
So the overall trend seems to be, at least for Burden United, is they need to really be able to succeed in this early laning stage. Withstand what could be the early aggression from Alliance. You have an Ember Spirit who could struggle in the early game a bit, but if they're able to persevere and push on through, they might be greatly rewarded into the late game.
And look at that movement by Alliance. They exactly know where they want to walk.
It's a conga line.
Usually you walk the right way down, but they walk the left way. So I believe they want to just go to that uphill position and then camp there. They've just done that before in the recent game, and they got a first blood standing exactly at that point, but they move around even further, and that's unfortunate for Ember there.
Oh man, I was trying to see. It looked like they only had the one ops ward, so not too many to block out the camps if that was their initial intention here. And it looks like this is not going to be coming out to any sort of blood. They immediately do the delta split, if you will, go to each side, and Alliance are going to be coming up short. Now, do they leave anything behind? There's going to be that one ops ward, but technically they're not really blocking out any camps. So Chen still does have a good jungle to work with here. And
it gives good information, though.
Of course it does, yes, absolutely. While he's farming up these camps that are not blocked, you'll be able to see his movement in and out, and the offlaner will know when pressure could be coming his way. So it's certainly a great ward nonetheless, and an awkward kind of a ward where it's not going to be easily detected.
And it looks like it's a Bristol offlane. We have a Darkseer as well. If you see Packet is moving towards the top situation, it's going to be very dangerous here for the Bristol back.
They're butting heads right now, but he needs to hightail it the hell out of there. That's a lot of damage already coming out from that Ion Shell, and for Paris, he might have to start dipping into that Tango pool. It looks like he already did now. Has a Salve still to back up with, but it is going to be quite the interesting lane matchup. A Darkseer going against the Bristle, mano y mano, has to favor the Darkseer.
And that's two experienced runes here for the side of Alliance. It's actually quite important for the early phase of the game. Usually, I'm not a big fan of having a Darkseer on a top lane, just because he pushes the wave. He just can't really apply too much pressure, but against a melee hero, he can always just shell himself. So he just zones out that hero. So it's actually quite good in that scenario.
Almost a mind game movement there, because Alliance kind of invaded their jungle. They almost just anticipated that wards were going to be there blocking, so they spent the 200 gold, dropped down sentries that pretty much didn't matter whatsoever. So, Chen's going to see he still has his jungle to work with, and they have their own little obs there on the side to get their own bits of intel as far as who on the side of Alliance in this aggro lane is going to be moving into the jungle, trying to add pressure onto the Chen.
And we can already see a smoke rotation going on by Minets. I was trying to say that in the very start, where Chen has to be the active player here. When you see that aggressive tri lane coming onto you, Chen is an essential part for your entire early movement. Chen can decide whether or not he wants to go towards top lane and then you ditch bottom lane, or Chen goes for other aggression such as middle, or moves towards bottom with a creep. But it looks like they actually want to try to attempt a kill on the mid lane here.
I get very reserved. They know that this disruptor has not been seen on the map quite yet. They haven't seen anyone move past that ward that they put down, but we'll see if they get successful. Oh, the kinetic field level up is their first choice, and it comes up short. Oh, this first movement coming out from my nuts and come with me is just not going to be good.
I do not... It might have been the better of the two to go towards mid lane than towards top, but you essentially don't have a stun. Your stun is a melee range, and getting that off is very optimistic, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, even if you tried to go for the Glimpse instead, Glimpse at level 1 has a really, really small range, so I don't even think that could have been an option either. So, unfortunately for Burden United, their first big gank attempt going to be coming up short. And typically that's how we see Chen's played. You know, you either go for that early smoke movement, add that pressure towards the mid lane, or you just kind of dive into the farm, bull rush towards that mech, take that momentum to one of the side lanes, maybe bottom in this case, and try to go for the tier 1. But that's not going to be too easy here. But look at this. He's like, I'm going to go work in your jungle instead. So that could be a bit interesting. We'll see if maybe he finds something new and then instead decides to go towards Bulldog and catch him out.
Did Wisp body block that camp the entire time?
Looks like he did.
Because just 2 sentries just went down trying to figure out
they have used 4 sentries now all day on the side of Burden United, and they have found nothing with it. 2 there, 2 over here, and it was just little Ake with his own little faceless body blocking it.
To me, I'm just a bit questioned on that. It looks like initiation here on the Ember.
Good pullback from the Rift. Kinetic Field might block him out in the front, but this is going to be first blood, and of all people, it's going to be on the Sing Sing Ember that we just put out there that he needs to succeed in the early game. Oh, this is heartbreaking for him, and it's going to be Mad, the support AA, who's going to pick up the kill, but look who's going to try to make a second go. Ooh, Pycat pushing pretty hard and forward here. Look who's jumping in from behind. It looks like they might be able to get a return here. Pycat bullying him back. Okay, though, is nearby, gets the tether, and they're taking the correct direction away, but he's still going to get caught with a stun, and they are going to be able to bring him down. So with that, Burden United able to get themselves on the board.
And that's a very important kill there for the side of Burden United. They needed to make something happen with that Chen, because essentially they're losing the bottom lane entirely. And if you're on the side of Burden, you pick an Ember, you know the scenario that you walk into, and if you don't have a great play on the Chen, you essentially give Ember nothing. Like, Ember doesn't do anything right now in that lane. He's at 0 CS. He hasn't touched creeps at all.
This is just, I mean, what are you looking out then? Are you looking out to your team like, I need some help, guys, or does he need to go somewhere else? Before I can finish the statement, he's like, I gotta get top. So they might be trading places, but it's clear that there's nothing getting them bottom. Maybe he can get something done top instead. It's just very apparent Alliance have set this laning setup very, very well, and it's clearly caught Burden United off guard.
I think the right move here for Darkseid would be to not shell anything. He would just try to sit on the lane, because he's so far ahead in levels that he can just, essentially he can just last hit in front of Ember. And if Ember wants to come close, he just hits him. He just starts hitting him.
Yep.
And that's exactly what he's doing. He's not shelling up anything. He just does not want to give any CS to the Ember.
He's almost level 6 before even 5 minutes. He's just going to go up and karate chop the Ember out of the lane.
And he's probably going to shell... Okay, he does not shell himself, so he just wants to apply a bit of damage there when the wave goes into the tower.
You gotta remember as well with that recent buff, he can get multiple iron shells off, almost up to 3.
And that's another game.
Oh, they're gonna make it go. They don't expect the double run back, and they get the 1 stun. Even the Rock Golem comes in, punches him in the neck. They're gonna take down Pycat once more. All right, back-to-back kills on the mid lane. Leshrek certainly turns out very nicely for Burden United in this mid lane because of the unfortunate circumstance in the bottom lane. They really need to make something happen in one of the other 2 lanes, and it looks like mid is their choice.
I hardly ever see that Golem being picked up by either Chen or Inch.
You get that rock.
The thing is, the Golem is, from my point of view, that Golem is crazy strong. Just because you deal 125 damage, if you get it level 1, you can deal 375 damage with just pretty much 1 minion. If you drop it and you have just 1 follow-up slower stun, and you move in that Golem where it is essentially at 50 HP, or it would run out as Enchantress, you get 3 stuns, and the total amount of damage is, at level 1, it's more than half of your HP. It seems very broke to me, but it's hardly ever used.
Thank you, Ice Frog, for that one, I guess. Plus, he's not easy to take down. He ends up just splitting into 2 little brothers and doesn't make it too easy. So, look at this. Alliance make their own audible call, and they see Sing Sing go top, and they want to chase right after him, and this is going to be a nightmare. They pull him back once more, and they're going to take him down, but look at the follow-through coming out. Necroman, they're going to get their own kill, taking down Loda. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, but I guess Alliance maybe just happy to keep punishing Sing Sing. Just keep running him into the ground. Like, nothing is going to come easy for you.
There was a great response though by Necroman there.
Oh, yes.
He got the carry, essentially for a hero that is now sitting at 5 CS, so he's not having the greatest time of his life anyway, and you trade that for someone that's not on top of the CS chart, but he's the carry. He's up there, and he's going to be also the player that is going to have to do the most in the mid game for the side of Alliance. A lot banks onto him performing well here. That is essentially going to be Iron Shell, Surge, Wisp, relocated carry. That if you shut him down early,
Oh, they're making a go onto Pycat here. They saw also Mad up and behind. They were a bit indecisive as far as if they wanted to take the high or low ground here. Sing Sing trying to get involved and help clearing that one out, but all the meanwhile, they get the finishing blow to finish off Pycat here. Can they get a secondary here? Mad heads to the north. They don't want to commit for that one. And instead, they're thinking about maybe what could be nearby. They have that ward, though, so Alliance know exactly the movement pattern here from Burden United, but this is 3 takedowns now for Pycat.
And you can just, what punishes Alliance a lot is just when you focus on Pycat, who usually is your driving force for that team, who you rely on so much. Whereas in the last game, he had a great time. He one-on-one, he essentially he destroyed his one-on-one, and now he's just, they focus on him, and that's very smart by Burden, because if you focus on him, you kind of take that wheel from them, right? They're not a driving force anymore. They need to react to helping out Pycat now, where you have an A and a Wisp essentially wants to walk with a CK, and A can't really help out. They don't have anyone that can really counter gang at this point. As soon as CK is missing, you just move backwards, and then who can stun? Who's going to be that disable? And Queen of Pain is not going to be afraid pretty much of anyone here.
Yeah. And until Alliance are able to throw a bit more as far as the items go, it's going to continue to be a bit finicky as far as when they're going to be able to find those opportunities to get the lockdown for someone as, you know, dodgy as a Queen of Pain can be. For Burn United, though, I want to check out the Bristleback. I feel like he's been kind of the silent one in this early game. I'm curious on his farm progression here. He's got his power dreads, he's got a bottle, he's got a bracer. He's just looking to kind of be that meaty frontliner, I suppose. So, you know, he's looking to build up into that kind of position where when the brute force decides to come from the side Alliance, he can be there to try to withstand it and continuously dish out that quill damage. Just one of those heroes who really thrives on those long-winded fights.
And so far, he had a great time. He's on top of the CS chart, and that's the struggle of having a Darkseid on the short lane. Usually when you go aggressive, you want to have a one-on-one on short lane that wins that matchup clearly. Like, that's the advantage that you get by contesting. And a Darkseid can only pressure a Bristleback so much.
Yeah.
Bristleback most likely gets a CS under tower because you push the lane. You can't sit back. You can't not use your spells because then Bristleback will just last it under you. So it's really hard to win that matchup. And it shows off that Bristleback had with 56 CS, he's doing really well. Yeah. And comparing a Bristleback to a Darkseid in the mid-late game, in the mid portion of the game, Bristleback just does a lot more until the very, very late game. But then you also rely so much on having like that kind of team composition, and on the side of Alliance, I don't see the greatest composition there with a Darkseid. It's not too much AoE, you have a less shock to set stuff up with, but other than that, it's not that great.
All right, smoke to come out here from Alliance now. No target nearby. They don't really know it. The ward was nearby. I don't know if it quite saw it or not, but oh, they're going to see Paris here. So maybe Paris wasn't quite onto it here. They're going to make the go. The Rift pull back. It looks like Bristleback is going to be slowly brought down here, but look who's creeping in from behind. Sing Sing gets his own pick off, taking down Ake on the Wisp. Nice glimpse back does come out. Pycat could be in trouble here, and he's going to be cleaned up from Necroman. Mad trying to make it away on a TP, and he will make it out. They don't have any sort of way to stop him. Ends up being a 2-for-1 trade advantage for Burden United.
I was actually questioning whether or not that top observer ward saw that smoke rotation. It looked to me like it was just on the edge of seeing that smoke. Or it was, okay, the smoke was not in range.
You had to be almost looking at that spot. Oh, hold that thought. Sonic Wave to fly, but because of the restoration coming out from Ake, it's not going to do too much punishing damage onto Loda. They'll be able to walk away. So
I do believe the next movement here by Alliance is going to be as soon as the Darkseid picks up a mech. Does he work towards a mech? Yeah, it looks like that. Maybe Pipe, but more likely, I assume it's going to be a mech. Because they have to work around that. They have to essentially sort of group up. Pycat is just so far behind at this point. He really does not have a good game. And at this point, we see Ember even being on top of it.
That Rock family's back. The father and children dishing out the rock blow, but not going to be enough to finish off the Pycat, so they decide to pull back and away. Oh, the kids are dead. I'm sorry. But the other thing to also look out for while we all talk about Bulldog putting another mech is Ake, who's got to be level 6 by now, I would imagine, right? No, almost level 6. Then he'll have that relocate ready, so you have that kind of comeback factor for Alliance to work with. But are the opportunities going to be there? You look at the side of Burn United, and they're either kind of tanky or they're pretty dang elusive, outside of the supports, of course.
And I guess you have to give credit to Sing pretty much that the bottom lane did not accomplish any kills, hardly anything. Ember got something done. He He died once, right? But it's not too bad. Against an aggro tri-lane, that was very close.
That was a photo finish, right?
But against an aggressive tri-lane, you die once. That's completely fine.
Yeah.
And like I was mentioning in the very start, and Wisp both need level 6 before doing anything. And Singh has done a great job.
Yep.
At not dying.
Thunderstrike's got the vision, but obviously there's no opportunity for the Glimpse follow-up, and you can almost say the same for Burden United. Come with me, not yet level 6. He's another one of those heroes, Disruptor, don't necessarily need to have the greatest of items early in the game. It's more getting the XP, getting that Glimpse leveled up to at least level 3, getting that Static Storm ready to go, and that's when you can really start playing in these team fights. So he's got to spend a little bit of that me time, get the XP, and charge on forward so that he has everything in his arsenal to make big in these fights.
Did he just use his ultimate to harass the tower? Looks like it. No, the CK, that is. That is the CK ultimate illusion, right? Yeah, he did use that.
I mean, level 1, you don't really get a whole lot out of it. Sometimes if you have bad luck.
I guess he doesn't have any purpose using it elsewhere, so he might as well try to get some damage onto that tower. He did not get the lucky X-ray illusion though, so that's only essentially 50% of the damage he could potentially deal.
Gotta remember as well, and I actually forgot about this till now, his nuking stun damage was buffed up recently. Before it had a chance of doing like, what, 1 damage or something? Now at least the minimum I believe is either 50 or 75, so that's a good little boost for him. We haven't really been able to see him utilize it a whole lot this game yet, but always something to keep noting. He's going to go for a Midas here. 13-minute Midas picked up here for Loda on your CK.
I think it's actually a good pickup, because the game is not going well for them in the very start, so you can't snowball. He needs to catch up. One big struggle that people need to understand about CK is that the reason he is so bad, at least from my point of view, is, in comparison to other carries, is that his attack downtime is beyond slow. Like, even if you get a Midas, he still hits essentially not even as close to as fast as Juggernaut, for example. Juggernaut being the fastest next to Alchemist Ultimate, he needs so much attack speed to deal a lot of damage that it's just really hard to pick that hero.
He hits kind of slow, he doesn't really have the cleave, so farming's a bit of a merit, but okay, Bulldog. Sorry. Get back over here. They get a nice little glimpse. They get the nice little pick. Your Darkseer is going to go down. It turns out to be another successful Burden United. And here comes Alliance charging down this mid lane. They're going to maybe give it a second to go on the tier 1. Nah, they're going to pull back in a way. But yeah, I agree. Reflecting on that, CK, one of those heroes we just don't see as much anymore. I remember hearing it's just more of also his farming capability. It's not as swift and quick as more of these luxurious cores can do. You're very just swatting at one little creep over and over again. You don't get the luxury of cleaving or hitting fast. That
exactly goes down to how fast he hits, though. If you compare to Jugger, sure, he has a crit mechanism, but he hits a lot faster, so farming with him essentially is a lot faster as well.
Oh yeah. So we come in with that as just a slow-hitting horse, man. Thankfully he has Ake nearby to help him with a bit of an overcharge and be there as defense or get him into the fight when necessary. But he does have that bit of a stalemate. Where he really thrives is when he's able to snowball ahead, and then you have that dark army that can kind of come on you.
I'm actually quite happy to see that Lashrock animation on the stun, because I always assumed that the Lashrock animation is actually a lot smaller than that I see there. Now I can see the circle, I'm like, oh.
It's pretty big and ridiculous.
It's pretty big, actually.
I got to see it for the first time yesterday when Ush pulled out Gnar, and I couldn't help but have the question as BU are able to take down the tier 1 bottom lane. Now that he has that weapon, is the attack animation a bit different? Could that throw a player off that just your kind of last hitting capability could be swung away or not? I'm not a big Lesh player, so I'm not too sure.
To me, items mean a lot. So I do believe so. Any items to me that I actually don't like that sort of like work around the attack.
Yeah.
Like the way you attack.
Just
there's
that
some
feeling.
Items that just feel wrong. So
keep it vanilla.
I haven't actually played with that item yet, so I can't really tell too much about it. Whether or not I feel it's
just such a dramatic difference. Most items it's like, oh, his sword's a little different, but you just gave Lesh a weapon. Like, in the history of Dota, that just doesn't seem to be there, but they pull it out now. They're not afraid to show the hat. Yeah, so it's a bit silly, but all the players want to be showing off that sweet new immortal treasure. So as it goes.
But overall, if we look at the pace of this game, where CK goes for that Midas, I think they're a bit better in terms of late game potential and mid game potential.
Oh, my good glimpse back. Oh, Lola going to be far from his family and friends, right into a Static Storm plus the Queen of Pain Scream. And Ake, they got something waiting for him, and it doesn't look like he has anyone to tether to. So A little ball going to be going down. Actually did some respectable damage on the Necroman, but there was no way he was making it out alive. At that same moment, Alliance were able to get the tier 1 bottom, but they lose two precious targets right
Great timing there by Come With Me. He actually waited it out for a long time. He could have glimpsed a bit earlier, but he kind of expected the Wisp to be around. And the longer he waits, obviously, the higher chance he has to abort that play that Ake was trying to do to get him out of there. And yeah, hats up play by Come With Me there.
Yeah, part of the reason why we see that Disruptor picked up time and time again when that Wisp does show itself at the beginning of that draft. So Exhibit A, if you will. Mid lane. Get the hell out of here. He's looking to send them right back to base. Well done once more, but Paris could be in trouble. And Ake able to show up. Sing. Man, Paris both caught with the big stun vacuum is going to be caught out. Meanwhile, at the bottom, you can see Necroman dancing with him, but as you see, charging up forward. Bulldog stuck by his lonesome. Going to get isolated and picked off. Now it's Ake stuck by his lonesome, and he's going to be the one grabbed. This is just wonderful movement coming out from Burden United. They seem to go from target to target, and they don't just seem to be that phased from what just happened in game number 1.
And it's not looking great at all here. If you're on the side of Alliance, I'm actually struggling to find grasp of the game. I do not know where you actually want to go towards, because essentially what you want to do is push and use your Wisp relocate. And if you can't do that, because Disruptor is, like we mentioned, a great tool against the Wisp. You have to watch out, and sitting together with that kind of calm is not really that good.
No, it's not. And we already were talking about at the beginning and even the last series, it's very important for these teams, if they want to stand out above the rest, you need to start getting some 2-0s in these series. You need to start getting the 3 points. You can't just keep trading these 1 points, then you're just kind of matched up with everyone else. And we all know a lot of people put Alliance as some of the heavy favorites, if not the favorites in their own group, but now they're just going to be on par with everyone else if they can't seem to clinch this with that W. So here they are. They're determined. They're looking to fight back, honey. They got their smoke. They're heading right towards the Burden jungle here.
The horse is leading.
Yes, he is. Charging on forward. Let's go, team. Can they get the prize kill here? They're coming from behind. They get the stun in the pullback. There's going to be the AA Ice Blast, and they even split out the ultimate, and they do get their kill. Uh-oh. Not without losing someone. Ake's going to be going down to the Sonic Wave. Stacks are dropped up from the north. They're going to quickly also clear down a secondary here in Pycat. They got it. Necroman with the double kill. Can he make it a triple? He certainly can. Jumps in and gets it. Triple kill for your Queen of Pain. Burn United, they get jumped on from the smoke, but they continue to thrive here. I say that, but now it's Come With Me who's going to get caught out, and Loda's going to be able to snag that kill, and he gets his own double kill. When the dust settles, honey, who really comes out on top?
If that last kill did not happen, I actually felt like the fight was, as a response towards Alliance gang, the fight seemed actually quite alright for the side of Burden here. I think it's the right play by Alliance to make something happen, because the further the game goes, you just essentially just get picked off. So, good play by Alliance here. Pretty good response on the side of Burden, but you just should have gotten out. At one point when you see you can't really get any picks anymore, because Queen essentially was out of mana, you just have to back off, and that's a team call there. And they just wanted to go for more. They felt like they were confident in getting more, but if they should have probably not done that.
All right. Well, it could have been a bit of a misstep there for Burden United. Get a little too extra greedy, but because of it, you know, they kind of still walk back and they're still in a strong position. As far as kill goes, it's 15-17, but if you look at the network, it's Necroman at the top, Loda just behind him here, and then you got your Bristleback. So it's still a bit of a wash as far as the farm goes, but with the momentum of having that Jet, this nice little army, they're going to continue to charge down this mid lane. Nice flip back, catches up Bulldog with his static sword right on top of it. Ake got him tethered up, he continues to dish out the heal, plus that mech comes out, and it's almost as if Bulldog was never even caught in the first place. So a good grab for them. It looks like Bristol's going to be eating that AA Ice Blast, and all they really get to walk away with is the tier 2 tower. They did have to blow up an ultimate right there, and I'm sure they were hoping to get Bulldog, but hey, good help out there from Ake.
I think it was a pretty good attempt by Come With Me there, trying to get that kill, because it looked actually pretty close. I assume he doesn't have his, what is that spell called? His third spell? The kinetic field. Yeah, it's only level 2. If it was a bit higher level, he essentially doesn't have the levels right now. They had a chance, but
Good attempt. They're charging in. Loda's going to get the pull back here, but he gets sent also back. Vacuum wall. Might not be able to make it away, or will he? The Ice Blast able to file, but on the other side, the pullback. Necroman, big sonic wave. Flies on through. Bulldog looks desperate to run away on out. Sing was the first to fall in this heyday, and now it's going to be Mindnuts able to charge on back in, gets the kill, and look at this Alliance, weak and wounded. They're desperate to find out where this Necroman went. They're scouting it out with the spirits. Can they get the hit? Oh, he's hiding himself into a corner. He's in that dark closet, and he's going to continue to stay there until he knows it's safe. So when the dust settles, it's a 1-for-1, but the Sing does go down.
He does have a TP to get out, though, so I just assume that he wants to continue fighting.
These golems out of here, they're going to be clearing it on out. They get the heal, and yeah. Okay. It doesn't feel like these trades are going as significant as they once were for Burden United. It feels like they're able to get something, but they end up continuously losing something thereafter.
The problem there on the side of Burden United is when Quap blinked in, he had a pretty good position with a Sonic Wave, but they clumped up. So he was standing with an iron, like the CK was Iron Shell up, and they just clumped together at one point, and Queen of Pain just had to run away, and I think it was Disruptor, where it was his position where he was just in the center of everything, and he just died. And Queen of Pain could just run away at that point. It looked pretty good for them because the Sonic Wave was actually quite well aimed, but he could just walk away.
I know for a Disruptor, the range isn't the craziest to dish out a good Static Storm, and all the meanwhile, Necroman gets his own nice little pick here in the top lane, catching out your AA. As expected, sometimes your AA likes to be out on his own, far away from the battle, because that's when you get the most out of your Ice Blast, but that's when you can easily get punished. But back on the other side of the world, they get their own kill. It's Sing who goes down again to a nice little jump and connect from Loda, followed up, of course, with your Lesh stun, and it ends up being the same exact, almost 1-for-1 trade from the previous fight.
There must have been a blind stun there by, a stun from the side by the Lash Shark. I do not think that Sing would have been caught else.
Yeah, quick reaction, like
it was a good play by Kit there. All in all, I would still give the edge right now to Burden, but they have to watch out. We have a Midas on the CK, so there's always a comeback potential, and the further it goes, they are sort of going even in these fights. And a CK late game with a Wisp, or even without a Wisp, is a monster. Like, if you get to that phase where you have a heart and potentially +1 item, maybe a BKB or whatnot, you can go nuts on that hero.
Now we see Alliance going right back to their farm.
And I guess on the side of Burden here, Ember is probably the only hero that can really deal with the illusions later on, but he is still very far off any item.
Yeah, only has that ring if he went looking to build together that first Battle Fury. So, you know, he's able to recover from what was that somewhat of a devastating early laning phase. Got a couple kills, participated a bit, but really since then, outside of his drums, he still has a lot of work ahead of him. And he doesn't have the luxury like Loda does to be able to build back onto this Midas. So I agree with you. It's definitely still looking pretty good for Alliance to have that opportunity to just get themselves right back into this game. Now for Paris on your Bristleback, still very meaty and tanky, as you can see. He has his BKB and Vanguard, but outside of that, the damage only really coming from the Quap at this point.
I was gonna mention Queen of Pain. We haven't really talked too much about Queen of Pain here, but the early games that he got, he utilized very well. We're sitting at 8-0 and 5, and Queen of Pain has had no mistakes so far in this game. And Necroman plays out of his mind at this point. And if he wasn't doing that, we might even see Alliance being on top at this point.
Looks like they're going to go for a tower trade here, mid-tier 1. Loda wants to pull back as he sees the Bristle come in. He's going to be BKB off the stun here, leaving his illusions to finish off what they had started. And, oh, nice deny from Sing on that tower in the meanwhile. So they're not going to get that extra bit of gold. And, well, they also get their own trade. The tier 2 went down that bottom lane in favor of Burden United. So they still hold a nice, respectable lead. And going more on that Queen of Pain, she is the top of the net worth right now. She did go for the quick rush of the Agnes. She's probably had it for a while now, but I know it's something we were talking about a bit, maybe the other day as far as impressions. Now, Queen of Pain, if she's able to get the Agnes in a respectable time, do you think it's well justified, just for the cooldown reduction, and maybe given the fact that Burden United have been pretty impactful in taking fights one after the other?
I think generally items on Queen of Pain are just player preference to me. If you like to go items on the hero because you want to make plays happen, that's one thing. I generally am a fan of bo3 on the hero, Most people do not like that item on the hero.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool, but it's just, it really is player preference.
To each their own, I suppose.
But you very often see that items. If you have a good game, and then I actually like that situation as well, is when you have a good game on Queen of Pain, getting an axe early, it gives you HP pool that you really want, and you essentially going to have a quicker 16 as well. When you get that 16, 40 seconds cooldown on your Sonic Wave, it's just a great tool to have.
So as we saw there, it was Bird United trying to make it go into the Roche pit. Alliance wanted to be there to contest, but they have that nice deep ward that scouted Alliance out, making the rotation in, so they immediately pull back. So I would imagine at this point Alliance know something is fishy. There's got to be some way that they could see us trying to come in there and make a contesting play, but they can't really do anything about it at this point with that kind of vision. So Bird United are going to be rewarded with the Aegis, and it's going to be handed over to Necroman. So they get that. Alliance just take this opportunity to step away and continue to farm on up.
At least they made a decision. Often what happens is that you're like in a very in-between where you essentially don't want to give up Roshan, but you feel like you're also not strong enough to just walk into Roshan, so they use that time to farm. That's something at least.
Yeah.
And at this point I also think it's just the right call. You walk into a Queen of Pain with at this point still Sonic Wave level 2, but it's just so hard for supports to walk in. A Wisp just blows up. If Wisp shows, he just dies.
Yeah.
And the problem I see with the CK here at this point is it's really hard to catch an Ember, and it's very hard to catch the Queen of Pain. You don't have a target lockdown. And CK stun, sure, is target lockdown, but it has this jump, right? It's not as great anymore. So you just have to find your fight, and probably defending high ground at this point, where there's no tower left outside the base, is the right call for Alliance here.
He used to relocate to get him down to the bottom lane. That's a bit awkward because they quickly see where he came from, and nope, he's able to tether away to safety. Necroman wants to get on chase, but good long, lengthy tether there gets him away from a bit of trouble. Two quick notes. Disruptor, able to throw together a Glimmer Cape. Very good to have when you're going against the likes of an AA. Plus all that additional magic damage that Lesh is dishing out is certainly nice as well. And then you look at the support on the other side, and your AA for Mad, he is still quite a ways off from getting his own Ags. I believe he has like Tranquils and maybe an Overclub, so it might be a bit before we see anything. Uh-oh, Pycat, you're not going anywhere. They're able to latch him on down, and they take out the Leshrek. Ooh, unfortunate circumstance for being a bit too deep.
It's still a very important suicide. You don't want to give these kills away. It sure hurts that you lose charges, but it hurts a lot more just giving away that kill. And
of course.
If they still invested time on trying to kill him there, it's not that much, but they essentially got nothing from this.
And he's not even dead for that long because of the Bloodstone. So he's already going to be back in action before even Bird United would even have the thought of trying to make a push right back into the high ground here. But they're still here in the mid lane, so we'll see if they decide to keep on charging on forward here. Nah, they don't really have all hands on deck for this one, so I don't imagine they're going to be going for it. And now both teams sharing that same aggressive high ward. And look at this, speaking of aggressive wards, Mad gets one on the jungle front.
I do think that Burden is still very afraid of going high ground. You face a Dark Seer, going high ground against Dark Tier wall is always tremendously hard. You don't want to do it before getting a pick off. At least force a buyback, something like that. So right now, sure they have the Aegis, but going high ground is not an easy task at all.
Pretty obvious because of that relocate little scuttle before that maybe there was extra bit of vision there. Looks like Alliance take that bit of intel, deward that pesky little obs.
But look at that, CK.
He's blue. He's bad.
If you're on the side of Burden here and you look at his inventory, as soon as you see it, you have to question yourself whether or not it's time soon to high ground, because you have a timer. It was a very smart pick by Loda to get that Midas, and it paid off. But at this time, you're 30 minutes in, it paid off completely.
He's looking bitter and badder every minute that passes right now. And one of those heroes that, you know, a heart is just almost crucial later in the game. You get so much from it when you're a CK. All that additional damage, all that sweet tankiness. He's going to be hitting like a Mack truck soon. Not just him. His whole freaking horse army, he's going to be dishing with it. And quickly, if they're able to get the upgrade, I mean, look at that! That wasn't even loaded. That was an illusion. He got wrecked right there. That's unbelievable. But once they're able to kind of take that advantage and move into the base, he's going to have that swarm moving on forward, and next thing you know, you're going to be stuck without a Rax.
I guess another thing to point out here is the way Loda uses ultimate. He uses it a lot to just push lanes. Just there again, he just used the ulti, and nice attempt there by Pycat. It unfortunately didn't work, but again, to my point, that he just uses the ultimate pretty much all the time.
Get the shackle onto Loda here, but there's got to be help nearby. Yep, there it is. Run, little piggy, run! They get the surge, and he's going to be able to make it away.
Does Bulldog have a dagger?
Bulldog has a dagger.
Okay, he does. I was like, is that surge suddenly 1k range? Because I didn't see the darks, and I was like, what's happening here?
It was a surge and run kind of a deal.
Yeah, he just instantly daggered away.
Yeah, so because of that, they're able to kind of add that pressure on top of the base and force Bird United to kind of rotate to be there and ready to go. So the momentum from Bird United doesn't seem as forefront as it used to be at this point, and you know, they got that timer. They really need to make sure they can find an opportunity to get that pick so they can eventually segue into the Alliance base and get some work done. Otherwise they risk, they might be able to get Bulldog down here, but no. Alliance there to the rescue. They move on in. Necro Man. We talked about how he was playing so good so far. Is he able to make it away? Good long-range blink. Relocate. Ake thought he was going to go to the low ground, but no. He went to the high ground. He's going to get that second blink away. The Spirits as far as they can, but Necro is going to be able to make it out. That was really, really close.
And that Aegis just timed out. He jumped in, he didn't have the Aegis anymore, and getting that pick off, I assume he's still at 8-0 on the Queen of Pain?
Yeah. Bounty.
So not getting that kill on the side of Alliance here is very important for BU to stay in the game. If Loda would have gotten that kill, you would potentially see his walk towards a BKB or something like that, or another stats item, maybe a Manta if you wanted that. I still think a BKB is still pretty good against Disruptor, just so you're not kited that much.
Yeah.
So I assume he's going back towards that. I think it's the right call to get the heart before, just because you want to have a bit more HP, and generally your farming speed is a bit better with a heart than with a BKB. If you get the BKB first, then you're a bit, you don't want to lose your charges all that early, and it doesn't make you that much stronger.
Here we look back to Bird United. It looks like Sing Sing was able to get his Battle Fury at some point, so he's got the first one thrown together. At this point, does he decide to go down that road of picking up the crit to really enhance the damage even further? Do you do your second Battle Fury? Does he need to consider going a bit more defensive and step off for a BKB at all? You don't want to have to get that item, but in this game, do you gotta?
So if you're on the side of BU here, you have to consider going high ground at this point where CK has a heart is going to be very tough. So essentially, I actually look at going towards Battle Fury kind of route, where you want to deal with the illusions. If you can't deal with the illusions, whereas Loda can even aim towards evasion, so you need more than just that. You want crit as well as MKB that you need on the Embers. So right now, 34 minutes in, you potentially look towards another 20 minutes in this game. It could drag very far, because for both teams going high ground is going to be hard. I think before the very late game, the edge is going to shift towards Alliance, because Loda will have his items faster than the Ember.
Oh yeah.
He is now sitting up with a armlet plus hard. He's pretty good. He's probably going to work towards the BKB. He doesn't have to though. They could be the Manta or whatnot as well. I just think for the kiting part, it's quite good if he does get the BKB, but maybe he just aims towards the very late game, and then BKB is also not that great. He could get evasion, for example. It's pretty good against Ember if you wanted to get that.
Pairs on the Bristle was able to finish off his SMY. It looked like even with the DD, he was kind of tempted to maybe tussle a bit there with the bottom lane, but isn't going to be following through with it. So, relocate coming in. It looks like he's going to be on top for Necroman here. Nice vacuum back. Can they lock down this Queen of Pain and finish her off? It's going to be the Static Storm flying it on out here. Can't quite make it away. They're going to possibly make for the return kill onto Mad, but no. This Necroman continues to just kind of survive and step on off. Mad's going to have to TP away, and now it's Sing Sing rather on the charge, popping the drums of war. Can we catch anyone out here? A Remnant down the low ground, but look at Loda. Whoa! Suddenly he is dead and done for, but Necroman, can he get the revenge? Nice sidestep to avoid out the splitter, but it's Loda continuing doing the work, finishing him on off. Now the rest of Burden United coming on through. Can they finish off this Horseman here? He is fast. He is running away towards the side jump, but there's pesky Nasal Glue is going to land. They're going to get the kill. It's a nice chunk of change for picking off that bit of a bounty, but it still ends up being a 2-for-1 where they lose their Sing Sing Ember Spirit. Loda, though, is out for a minute without a buyback.
That was a beautiful attempt by Loda there. He gets the ultimate off. He gets an instant kill on the Ember. Of course, he gets a few crits there. I guess with that many illusions, it's not as lucky to get that crit, but I think Sing Sing just didn't expect it. He needs to... I believe the right play still from Sing's side is to be a bit more cautious, because the only thing that he could really do is to pop the ulti. He would have had time to use his slider fist to abort a TP if he attempted that TP. So Queen of Pain could have walked around. Other than that, my initial thought was that glimpsing back the CK would have probably been better, at least from my point of view. You get a quick kill onto a Wisp, as well as I think the Lash was around, and the Darkseer at that point. And if you get the CK out, you at least get one kill, and there would be no, you know, like you don't lose anything on that. So maybe the better play, going for the CK obviously is the bigger kill.
More magic resistance coming together now for BU, as the pipe is going to be complete for your Chen. And also, of course, they already have that Glimmer Cape on your Disruptor. So they're already prepared. But the serious work that could be coming out from your AA, from your Lesh.
If I look at Necroman though, I feel like he slowly but surely drifts off to me. Like, you have a hard, I mean, you have a Hex and you have an Axe. Now he has a Ghost Scepter. He needs to watch out from the CK at this point. But he just, I'm just afraid when you get that Axe that early, that your late game presence is not as high. That's why I prefer that book route where you have split push and then you essentially can go towards more physical, heavy kind of type of a hero. He sure can he can still get a refresher, which is pretty good against the illusions of CK or the weak supports. But once you pop those, you don't bring too much to the fight. Yes, you have the Hex, but that's your disable. In terms of damage, you would totally rely on the Bristleback and Ember at that point.
Plus then the disable might not even be guaranteed, as we've already have seen, is that when you get the Hex off on someone like your CK, there's going to be Bulldog there with the Surge to just get him out of a bit of trouble. So even then, that sheep might not always be guaranteed. So now, Burden United, oh, they're going to get the pullback on Sing, but he remnants away, and look at that thing go! It's like Halley's Comet flying through the sky.
It's gone.
That's awesome. Ooh. No, it's still going. Gotcha! It actually hit. That's hilarious. Oh.
I was actually thinking that it doesn't
get vision, right? It's not like they know that they're in the Roche pit.
No, but I thought that it actually would not hit.
Well, you can't destroy it. Not at least with the remnant jump. Interesting. Oh no, while they're doing this Roche, it's a good window of opportunity for Alliance to make a go into the base, so they quickly retreat to get the help nearby that they want. But look at the damage that's already been done. That tier 3 going to be going down here. Bristol making to go to the back lines, but they quickly get the kill on the Disruptor. He's going to get dropped. Sonic Wave to fly on out. Rhoda pretty dang low, and he's going to get slowed continuously. Both the Shadow Strike and the Goo, but the save coming out from Ake going to send them right back to the base side. Now, we'll see. Are they going to re-engage? Are they going to bring Loda back? Is it worth it? I don't think so. I think Ake... Can I find someone to tether to?
Wait, what?
TP? They don't care. Okay.
What?
They're just going to let that
they
happen.
might actually... No, you can just see them walk towards Roche. They may be more afraid of losing that Roshan.
Fair enough, fair enough. Okay.
Than just getting that clear Wisp kill. Because if they would have focused on getting Wisp, they potentially would have been too late to go towards Roche. So I can understand that. What happened in that fight is actually as good as Come With Me has played so far in that fight. His positioning was off because you don't have a BKB yet on the CK, and he could have had a pretty clear initiation there on towards him. If he would have just laid down his ultimate, surrounded him, it would have been a hard time for catching him. What he wanted to do is get closer towards the Wisp and not, not let him get out. But he just sees illusions of a CK, and you can't just walk towards illusions. You're going to get one shot, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and it's such a crucial tool to have when they're pushing into your base. Having that side storm is such a great high ground defensive utility. It's not worth to overextend just to hope you could stop them from kind of getting pulled away. But here we go. They're able to still double back, finish off what they started. They get the Roche, and again, Necroman going to be claiming that Aegis here. So, really, Hani, we're 40 minutes in. Where do we stand, really? Who has the upper hand at this point? Is it the ceiling of Alliance and the CK that continues to kind of build up and be a real strong force? Or do you think Sing Sing and his Ember plus his Bristleback and Necroman on his Queen of Pain are just going to be enough to kind of hold their own and then eventually take it back the other way?
It can really go on for a long time in this game. The problem is for both teams going high ground. You have Ember on the one side, and Ember right now is still not that fed. He still has to get a few items. He's now sitting at that double battlefield that I was trying to talk earlier about. He needs, I think 2 is alright. 2 is pretty good to, you work against the illusions. You now want to probably work on crit to get a bit more damage going. And after that, if the CK goes towards evasion, he has to get an MKB. So it's crit MKB most likely on him, where he now works towards that Manta. He does not go for the BKB, so he feels rather confident that controlling him is not that big of a deal, as well as once you activate your BKB, Wisp will not be able to tether to save you. So in that sense, it's understandable, and I guess it also provides a bit more split push.
What's the max amount of CKs we could see here with good luck? Is it a 4 pop if you're lucky on level 3, I believe?
It's 4,
and then another 3 from the Manta, or 2. That's right, 2 from the Manta.
So you will essentially see potential 7 CKs.
That's crazy.
Maybe he gets an Illusion as well.
You better then they grab and then all hell breaks loose.
And a refresher. No, that actually doesn't work.
Oh,
well, that's sad.
Get a Shadow Demon out of the blue to help out. No, but it could be pretty damn crazy. That's where you really count on something like Sing Sing with his cleave to kind of make sense of who's the right CK, what the hell's happening, and can we stop this army from charging into our base before this turns into like a crazy Lord of the Rings movie. So,
but we already looking at this game, we already see a transition in terms of who has to step up here. Ember has to be more of the carry role, whereas the Queen of Pain, who has so far been the driving force and still on top of net worth, is slowly but surely drifting off towards me. He just picked up an item. What was that he just picked up on the Queen of Pain?
Queen of Pain?
He must have just finished.
He already had the
BKB?
Ghost.
Okay, just finished BKB. Very understandable, so he can jump without just getting stunned or vacuumed, but I get stunned. There is also a Hex now on the Bulldog. Yeah, he sort of just picked it up, 1500 gold further, so he has to watch out for that. It's a good pickup by Queen of Pain, but physical damage output next to the Sonic Wave, soon non-existent. CK kind of laughs about that at this point.
Plus, not long ago, we saw Mad finally finish out his Agnum Scepter. He's going to be the one to hold the gem, so they're going to try to retain their own bit of map control. We already saw him D-ward that local jungle ward that we always see on top of that pedestal. So,
I do believe, though, after the Aegis runs out, that if you're on the side of Alliance, you want to attempt some sort of push. I feel that this game is going to go until the forever if Ember is going to get his items. Right now, he still sits only at 2 Battle Furies. It's not too bad. You can go against 2 Battle Furies. It's really not that bad. Plus, CK has the Manta very soon. He potentially saves buyback over it. He just finished that, maybe. Maybe not. He's going towards Scotty. Oh, he's actually getting a Scotty. Interesting.
That is a lot of stats.
Oh, that's more stats. I guess a bit more chase. Okay against Bristol. I'm not sure why you essentially want a Scotty. It's okay, I guess.
I mean, you already have the heart, so I can understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's more stats. It's a bit more attack speed.
Gotta get more swole. Gotta get those gains, right? So we'll see if it's something that ends up paying off, or if they quickly realizes that a BKB might have been what he really needed to get a hold of here. So
I guess what he understands with the Manta, for example, is that you face an Ember, so getting more splash targets is not that great. So you want to buff your main hero. And Illusion in that sense is not the item to go for. So I get that part, yeah.
Oh, look at this little group right here. Got a couple of trolls, we got a crap ton of skeletons.
It looks like B is trying to make something out of the Aegis. They still have that, right?
They have it.
They do have
not
that
too
Aegis.
Long.
But it's not the playmaker for them. At this point, he still has that streak going, so it makes sense to have it on him, but Ember and Bristol need to step up to the plate at that point. Queen of Pain does not deal that much damage anymore.
And for Alliance, Pycat, who's kind of been floating around as their secondary farming core, he is a wealth of gold. 4,200. Obviously, you want to save a bit in reserve for your buyback here, but for item progression on your Lesh here, after already finishing your Bloodstone, looks like he's going to get the Shivas thereafter. So that kind of explains itself. And very similar build-up from what we saw him in the last game, and it will help against that right-click potential coming out from your Bristle and your Ember.
And I believe he's going to go for a Hex afterwards. I still think they have too little disabled.
That was cool looking, by the way.
to deal with the Amber Spirit as well as the Queen of Pain. And we have a BKB on the Queen of Pain, but it doesn't really help against the Hex. Once you Hex, if you don't get the BKB off before, it's not really a good trade-off. If you get the initiation with a BKB, it's great. Then Hex is not that good, but if you get the initiation with Hex, a response BKB to prevent a Hex when you see a target is not great. I hope that was understood. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, it certainly was. The spooky army back on the bottom now, though. They're going to push on in. That Aegis, is it expired? Is it still there? It's gone now. So this was the timing window we were expecting Alliance to maybe consider putting the pedal to the metal and trying to get something done for themselves, but
that could be a bit later. I mean, the Aegis just ran out, I assume. Yeah, it just ran out. So it's not that bad. They can find the timing. Less Shrug essentially can still get a lot bigger, and it looks like they're trying to trade at this point, but they're still having a tower, so this trade is not that great at all. Ember at this point is not in base. He needs to be there to defend. You need him. He's sitting at 3k gold now. It's still only 2 battle trees.
He's the first one to arrive on this bottom lane pressure.
Oh, this is actually quite a smart play by Alliance here, because they do not go outside the base. What is happening, Aki?
He's getting caught out. That little army of nets and skeletons has kind of done some work on your Wisp. Brought down quite a bit, but
I actually do like the controversy, because they're sitting back in base with a Wisp and CK and are not outside the base. And they can just do the opposite, so they can def with the two heroes. CK at this point is so fat, it's really hard to just walk into him, and this is a misplay of Burden here.
They're eating a lot of damage, and they're going to be forced to rotate even on forward, and now the split's going to come out. Does dish a 3. There's going to be 2 on forward. They're able to finish off the Wisp, but there's not going to be that relocate kind of a save here. They're going to make the go on the Chen. Can they quickly finish him off? Loda's eating a wealth of damage right here. They're going to drop the stack spell right on top of him, so Loda goes down, and now they look to Pycat. He gets off the Earth Split, but he's going to get dropped. Felt like a bit of a misplay at the start from Burden United, but they're going to come out the big winners here. They drop down 3 from Alliance. They don't lose their racks, and they're going to be able to hold. Oh, they do lose 1 racks. Okay, fair enough. But it was the range racks.
I wonder what dealt so much damage to CK there, because he did not have his illusions next to him when he was fighting. He tried to jump once. I'm not sure how the Slider Fist damaged that, but he had quite a chunk of HP left when he jumped the Chen afterwards. He initially wanted to go for the Disruptor again. Disruptor was able to get the Glimmer Cave off, so that was very important for him to survive there. And good play by Com with me. Overall, maybe a bit too aggressive by from the side of Alliance here. They went for that play that I was trying to mention earlier, that I felt like they need to make something happen, because going to late game against a Bristle and Ember when you're illusion-based hero is still very difficult.
Now they're moving down this mid lane. Tier 3 gets dropped. Big Ice Blast ult. There's going to be the vacuum follow through here. Can they look to clear one out? No, Necroman's going to be able to get his own kill, picking up the Bulldog here. And now the buyback comes out from Loda. Oh, big catch down from Sing. And this buyback, if they decide to step back and away, Sing flirting with him a bit. Does get caught as he tries to run back and away with that stun. But here comes Paris, being that tanky frontliner, goes right for the racks. They're going to be able to take out 1. At this point here, it's looking pretty dang good for Burden United. They're just trying to slow them down. Alliance don't want to be taking this as a draw series at this point. Burden United want to be walking away from the series with at least 1 point after already taking that first loss. And it's looking pretty solid. They clear out that mid lane, and now they're looking to come down from the south. They already did some serious work on this tier 3, so it's not going to take too much effort to finish it off. Here comes Pycat charging out, leashes the Shivas. Get that Derpy Dragon out of here if he can, but they're going to need a lot more than that. Bulldog also already balled out, looking to get back in the action. Necroman potentially going to be caught out, already uses his ghost, going to be walking away. Now they look back to Loda here. Not enough to really do all the damage, but they do lock him in place, and it looks like that's going to be the sound of the retreat coming out for Burden United.
And if you are in the position of CK here, this situation just screams out BKB to me. He gets controlled so heavily in these fights.
Yeah.
Slider Fierce does chains, always just lock him down. He doesn't get to do anything, pretty much. And it just hurts because he has so much farm, but you're sitting at 4.3k HP. It's like, you don't die that fast, but you just don't get dish out anything.
Yeah. This man is like big, huge, muscular man. He can't even fit through the door to get in there and be very effective, unfortunately. Oh, they're going for Roche, but Matt, on his way in, gets caught out, and he's going to be taken apart. Now it's a disarray for Alliance. They don't know really where to go. Necro's going to be jumping on in. They're going to go for low. Good pullback and a set up vacuum, but is it going to be enough? All hell breaking loose at the front door of the Roche pit, and they're looking to hold strong. Static Storm is going to be the follow-up. Loda still holding on, clinching. Ake keeping alive, going to send him right back home and keep him alive and well. Pycat also buyback and gets his own boots of travel. Back at the Roche forefront, though, it's Burden United who want to be taking this for themselves. Will they get it? Meanwhile, the creeps moving into the north. They're going to be finishing up, but there's going to be a jump in coming on out. Alliance looking to fight it on back. They're going to bring him back in, but it's going to be Ake who does go down. The Age is going to be picked up from Necroman here, and Burden United still managed to hold and stay strong. What a crazy fight.
At first it looked very badly for the side of Alliance, but at least you can say that they got a melee Rex there. That was, yeah, I think it was a melee Rex. It was important for them to get that, but now you're looking at CK, who still is far from his BKB. He can't get that. He's 2.3k gold. He bought back once already. Leshak bought back. So if you get one target, you can finish the game. If you get one of those two, you can pretty much finish the game. Darkseer is still dead. He bought back as well. 15 seconds. And that looks like another set of racks.
They're moving in. They're going to start batting it down. What can they do to stop it? Mad can't do a whole lot. He just casually throws out a tickling cold feet, but they're easily going to be able to sidestep it here. Plus, they got that extra life on Necroman, so they're in a good spot. Sing Sing makes his return after clearing out that pressure from the north side of their base. And Oda is just trying to keep them back in that bay from the mid side. So, an exposed Rax. Paris charges in. They put a wall at the forefront, so they'll just kind of keep themselves inside the base front and just hope that they can maybe not dish out too much. If Blizzard goes across that wall, he hands over that AC, but what a nice vacuum setup from Bulldog. Is going to be enough. Necroman gets a good spot, flanking him in with the big Sonic Wave. Pycat charging him on out, looking to get them down. Oh, big damage on the Necroman here, but of course he does have that Aegis, so it's not going to be too easy to finish him off, and well, they will be able to get it. So here comes the secondary life.
And he's about to finish his refresher there on him. He didn't have that. He tends to go into more magic/pure damage now with getting that refresher, and they already have such a chunk of physical damage from Bristol. Bristol is like kind of this unsung hero in these fights. He just gets to free hit everyone. He's just there. He deals quite a lot of damage. I'm like always looking at the CK, and I'm surprised by what does he get dropped by. He's at 4k HP and he just drops. Like he just drops in his fights, and it can't be that much magic damage. Sure, you have a disruptor that controls him, and if you actually stay in the static storm the entire duration, it's pretty good. But essentially, there's not much magic damage on the side of BU. I wonder if the Chen is actually on par of his first spell, Penitence. And if this Penitence is actually on the CK, it's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
It's like you enhance any kind of damage that goes on towards him. I wasn't paying too much attention on that, if Chen was on top of that, but you can drop a 4k target having a Penitence on the CK.
Everything gets stacked up. That, the continuous amount of quills. Necroman seems to be on point with the Sonic Wave. Sing Sing's damage is continuously coming together. And I mean, just look how dramatic that net worth and XP have just shot right up in the favor of BU. Now at that 20k threshold.
And this is the point where you don't want to be at. Now, essentially, the Ember is getting more and more. He has 5k gold right now. He's sitting on top of a Daedalus. Has the double batter free. Now he can look towards either getting another crit. You could potentially also get the Rapier, I think. It's not too bad because it's not that much disable. Maybe you don't want to go with the Rapier just because the chance of giving the Rapier towards the CK and then potentially moving back toward, like going in favor of Alliance is too risky. So just getting a second crit would be a good answer. Then he can also still decide to get the MKB, but right now he's not really in the pressure position to go for the MKB, just because CK is not moving towards that. And I think he has bigger issues because he needs that BKB. I really do think he does.
Here they come in from the top side here. They're gonna let their little Triceratops and Dragon try to soak up the damage and lead out the charge here at the front while they wait on the back end side. Loda using the help of the Iron Shell, looking to clear out the creeps right here, but this is Burden United's time to move on in there. Pull back vacuum wall, does catch a couple of them, but they quickly BKB and look to shoot on back. Bulldog going to be able to get off the surge, walks back away, and they get the pullback. Bristleback though, very meaty target, going to be hard to take down here for Alliance. Are they going to get drawn out from the base here? Looks like they will. They're not able to finish anyone off, and it looks like Burden United just make a clean Houdini escape, and it costs Alliance a fair amount of ultimates to just try to thwart off that push.
And that was a beautiful sandbag by the Chen there. I think Alliance understood what target they have to go for, as well as it's really hard to target anyone else but the Bristol. You kind of have to deal with him. He deals a lot of physical damage. You can't really ignore him, and you don't really have to disable to just like keep him out of the fight either. So you have to go for that. And good response by the Chen there. He sends him back. He had enough time to do so, and right now you're just in a position or CK lost his ultimate, so I do believe that Burden United is going to look towards finishing this game right now.
Yeah, especially with that wall now down.
And they still have the refresher up as well. I thought he actually used the last fight, but I think he just picked it up. Yeah.
Get ready for the double wave. Could be coming here. And they're going right back towards that north side. So, Alliance, are they going to have enough to withstand and hold, given that they've already handed over a little bit too much, maybe, to get that first defense out there? Will Burden United be able to even the series up 1-1? It's a very crucial time. We're only in day one of the action, but these are the games that matter if you want to be claiming those top 2 spots. When you have teams like London Conspiracy who are able to walk away from this series with 3 points, this is very important. They're going to be able to take down the Tier 3. And now they look towards the racks. Loda goes in, immediately hexed up. Now, of course, he has all that precious life, so it's not going to be able to do a lot as the follow-up. Looks to move in. Ice Blast, respectable, but not that great. And now they look to charge on in. Necroman pops his BKB. There's going to be the wave number 1. Is going to be the refresher quite yet. There's going to be stacked for a follow-up. Does catch on Loda. The wall as he walks right on through. But look at all that damage on the Loda. He's in trouble at this point, and he's going to be going down. Does have the buyback. Is going to be forced to use it. Meanwhile, the army trying to break through these racks, and it's going to be a combo breaker of a pause, as it was my nuts who did unfortunately disconnect. Ugh, that is awkward timing at this point. Both teams, I'm sure, going into serious theorycraft mode on how this could really develop here. But you're looking at Bulldog already down, does have his buyback, will probably need to use it at this point, but he's not going to have a wall.
So the way this fight started off was really bad for Alliance, just because Bulldog wasted his vacuum there. And the way that they had to start the fight is getting a good vacuum wall. It's just essential to winning anything here. Like, if you want to win the fight, you have to get a great vacuum off. The question I have is, what happened to Necro there? He got a great ulti, one-off, then he refreshed. Oh, he used another ulti? Wait,
I didn't see the second one
did
either.
Did he mess up his refresher? Or did he just use it for the hex part? I only saw one Sonic Wave. I'm pretty sure I only saw one.
I only saw one too, unless, I mean, there was chaos breaking out, so it's kind of hard to see if maybe it was just shot off to the side, but boy oh boy, it was...
I do think he must have moved something up there. He potentially used the hex twice, but he did not use his ulti twice. It could have actually been the hex that was used twice.
It looks like we might have an opportunity to maybe do a bit of a run back on that and get a bit of a replay while we do wait this one out, but pressure on our producer, because the second this unpauses, we need to make sure we get right back into the game as well. He's like, yeah, but we're waiting it on out. But oh, Dota server is down as well. Ooh, so we're going to be waiting a little bit apparently. So it is the Chen.
Yes, we do it in very slow-mo.
Let's do it.
We can analyze the fight.
So we're going to get a replay here in a slow-mo thing. So let's see what happens here.
Okay, this is the vacuum I was trying to talk about.
Not that
missed,
good.
And now they know the vacuum is gone. It's 20 seconds vacuum, so you can walk in. He just refreshed. I knew it. So that's...
He refreshed first. Oh. Maybe misclick?
Yeah, it must have been a mistake. I almost assume that what often happens is that you have the refresher suddenly on a new spot, that you change spots because you're uncomfortable with having a refresher on a certain slot, then you switch your slots and then you move it to a slot that you have used previous. So it could have been that a hex was exactly on that slot, then you want to jump in, you want to hex, then you use refresh instead of hex.
Oh boy.
Something like that.
Well, very unfortunate for him. Couldn't even catch it at that point. As he jumped on forward, all focus was there, not when he was outside popping that refresher. So could have made this fight a lot easier for Burden United if they wanted to close this one out. But
I'm just wondering, I mean, CK bought back. What does CK have his entry up right now? He's at 24 seconds on the ulti. It's not looking too good. He doesn't go towards the BKB. He actually tries to get
AC, yeah.
He tries to get that AC. He does need more armor though. Against Blitz, he does need a lot of armor.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're BKB'd, you can also not get good, so it's somewhat giving you armor.
Yeah, otherwise your hope is make sure you get a wall under Bristle and get your own AC doing it that way, I guess.
Oh, Necro.
That's not guaranteed.
Everyone saw that, Necro. You could have been the MVP here.
So what are you saying now? Everyone's going to call him out for it?
Yeah. No. He's still looking very good.
I mean, if they pull out a win, it's certainly something that they can probably brush past, but who knows at this point. So unfortunately, we'll wait as the servers apparently were down. We'll hope that they'll get up in relatively quick fashion. Really unfortunate that comes at probably what has to be one of the final stands here for Alliance, just to kind of defend their own base.
Bulldog does not have buyback, right?
He does. I can see from here that little golden trim on the banner. One of those casual little tricks you get as a spectator. But
so he does, but he doesn't have hex up, he doesn't have wall up, he doesn't have vacuum up. It's at 8 seconds on that, so he doesn't have too much impact at this point in the fight. It's the only Raxes that are left as well. I think Birdie should just man up and come on, just oh, he's back.
He's back. We gotta get the hype built back up here, honey.
Oh my god!
Gotta get all geared up and ready. Yep. Apologies, of course. I don't think Alliance are gonna respond to that. But here we go. Alliance, they're already down a lot.
Is it gonna be the $1 million coil that saves them here?
Oh. The $1 million vacuum to pull them away, and they're like, "Oh, it was a crazy vacuum. We better go," and leave. I don't know. Here we go. It is time. Bulldog, hopefully with immediate buyback, the Chen Heal is going to be there. Look at Loda charging on forward and sent right back to where once he came. With that, they're going to have the space to look to finish off these racks. I'm not sure if this is going to be the pinnacle point to get the Megas here. And all the meanwhile, they're going to get the kill onto Matt. Here comes Ake back in once more here. Loda and Pycat both still alive, but they don't have enough to press on forward at this point. So with that, those racks go down. Is there still racks on bottom? There is. So the Megas, not yet, but now. So it does look like in the end, Burden United will be able to take this game and tie this series up 1-1. Neither team are going to be able to walk away with a 3-point victory unless they're going for some Hail Mary kind of a backdoor play, but I don't think that's going to be happening. Burden United are already going for the jugular here. Pycat desperate, looking to edict down these tier 4s, but they have own lift ready to go, and with that, Burden United going to take the victory here. Man, this European qualifier has been really something else already. Serious upsets, series being tied. I really have no idea how things are going to continue. It's crazy.
Indeed. You just see Burden had a really good showing here, and to me they were not the #1 team that's going to do the upsetting parts. I thought 4SC is going to be that one team, and they have shown that they can win over Alliance, but generally you can say that Alliance was the team to perform the best, and they are struggling. They are struggling indeed.